as though President Ramaphosa is really pushing the idea of servant leadership, and it seemed relevant shortly after the celebration of Nelson Mandela Day.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Nombu. Of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa alluding to the fact that there has to be that going back to the drawing board process, where we will see people who are in the leadership positions within the ANC putting those whom they lead in the front in as far as their needs when it comes to service delivery and other essentials that those millions of South Africans who look up to the ANC want to see happen. Of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa not mincing his words in as far as making it a point that he will go all out and actually attract more investors in the country, to make the point that Gauteng is on its own is the economic hub of the country. It continues to sort of help the country's economy to grow even more and more, making it a point that there's job creation. We don't have young people loitering in the streets due to the fact that they don't have anything else to do. And of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa Nombu touching down, of course, on the issue of e-tolls, saying that this conference needs to discuss that lengthily as to what needs to be happening in as far as the ANC-led government is concerned, looking at the fact that there's been a lot of outcry about the fact that e-tolls have been implemented in Gauteng, and of course challenging delegates here, about 1,600 of them that are gathered here from across the province, to make it a point that during their plenary sessions they dwell deeper on the fact that the e-tolls, there needs to be a solution. And of course we'll remember acting ANC chairperson here in Gauteng, David Makura, whom we understand that he will be elected unopposed to the position of the chairperson, has also been sort of vocal against the e-tolls here in Gauteng. And of course, another important factor that President Cyril Ramaphosa highlighted to these delegates is the fact that they need to work towards unity, to make it a point that as we approach 2019 elections, ANC is a united front, to keep making the point that as they are currently bleeding from having lost drastically 3 major metros across South Africa to the opposition, that at least it will be a thing of the past in as far as 2019 elections are concerned.
So Abongile, now that the President has delivered the keynote address, you've indicated there are going to be some plenary meetings. What sort of things are going to be discussed at those plenary meetings, and ultimately when do the elections take place? Okay, first and foremost, we are in a break for lunch now. Of course, when coming back after lunch, and after to acting ANC chairperson here in Gauteng, David Makura, will give a report on the progress that has been made by the party thus far, since he has taken, of course, over as the acting chairperson from the then chairperson Paul Mashatile. He will give a political report to this conference, and of course, nominations are scheduled to take place later this afternoon. Some of those who will be nominated to the top positions for the Gauteng province. And of course, the election, we're not certain yet, but one can only imagine that it will happen during the course of the weekend. But today, the most important thing that we're going to look out for is the fact that David Makura is yet to give a keynote address, of course, addressing these delegates here and paving a way forward on what are some of the things, or the do's and don'ts in as far as rules and regulations for this conference. And of course, I can also highlight the fact that there's that sense of unity that has been preached, of course, by President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are witnessing here that there's unity amongst all the regions, and of course looking at the fact that there were some court interdicts that we witnessed earlier this week building up to today for this conference. All right, Abongile, we're going to leave it there with you. Thank you very much for your time and that report. That was Abongile Dumako reporting from the Gauteng ANC Elective Conference.